I'm Dr. Sheila Farhang, and welcome to Derm Approved, your insider access to skin that looks and feels its best. Today, I'm joined by the Susan Yara. I'm so excited. We've met before, and I've been on some of your videos before, but I'm so excited for you to be on Derm Approved. You're perfect for this.
Thank you.
And if you don't already know, if you've been living under a rock, Susan Yara is beauty founder, creator, turned huge brand founder of Naturium, and then now Playa. And you have really set the mark for what people want to do when they are opening up a skincare brand and launching it and all of that. So, and of course you're a mom and you're really open about all the cosmetic treatments. So we're going to get into all of that.
I love it.
So I'm super excited. Yeah.
Let's do it.
I love recommending RoC's new line smoothing 2-step peel pads as an at-home alternative to a professional peel without the cost, the downtime, or the irritation. It's a 2-minute treatment, dermatologist developed, delivering the results of a facial at home. With over 250 clinical studies, 75 safety studies, and 35 patents, every RoC formula is scientifically crafted and clinically tested to ensure the best results for your skin. Visit www.rocskincare.com for more information.
What made you start Naturium? This was pre-pandemic, right?
Actually, it was right at the start of it.
Okay.
So it was crazy timing. But, you know, a lot of people see it as like, they see Naturium and they think like, this is a brand new brand. It's a baby brand. And in a lot of ways it is. But what I tell people is I'd been on my YouTube journey as a skincare content creator for so many years before. So truly when like even during the acquisition of Naturium, people were like, oh my God, the brand's only 3 years old. This is like a record. And I'm like, it's not the brand 3 years old. I've been building towards this for a decade at this point. So, so when I started Naturium, I felt like my community had already really wanted something like this. And it just kind of made sense. It flowed really easily into what I'd already been building. And I think it all just made a lot of sense, you know?
Yeah. You've built that trust where you would talk about skincare products and beauty, mixed makeup, is the channel. You know, people say a girl's girl. I'm going to call you like a derm's girl because you have a lot of respect, and I think really, you've asked me to be on some of your YouTube channels, I think pre-Naturium, and you really kind of understand where dermatologists are in the skincare game. But as a beauty expert yourself, like you're talking about skincare for years and years, and that is like, I think what sets you apart, because when it did launch, it's a very unique, affordable product. What specific problem did you see that you wanted to maybe, like what made you come out with it? You love skincare, you came out with it. Was there a certain product, ingredient?
Yeah, so a lot of people don't realize when I started my YouTube channel, Mixed Makeup, in 2014, there wasn't this abundance of sponsorships for content creators like there are today, right? So to create all the content, I needed to pay for my life, right? And so, and I had a whole team because we were doing like more highly produced content on YouTube. It wasn't just somebody sitting in front of their, at the time, it was like people would sit in front of their cameras on their laptop and do like hauls of what they were buying and stuff. So for me, it was much more produced. I wanted it to feel more like a digital magazine, and have a lot of experts on it and stuff. So to make money, we also ran a production company for brands basically, and also did social media consulting. And for a lot of our clients were actually dermatologists and plastic surgeons. And so what I started realizing in working with the derms, especially to try to get them on camera at the time, which sounds crazy because nowadays like the derms are all over they're all over camera and on social media and stuff. But back then that was not as regular, right? And so you would get these derms who maybe they were used to, writing papers and going, to conferences to speak to their fellow dermatologists and experts, but they weren't used to doing the sound bites and really consumer friendly conversations online. And so I would have to take like these questions that your typical patient would have or that your consumer would have, and then I'd present it to the dermatologist, and they would say something to me that I'd be like, you're speaking gibberish to the typical consumer.
Yeah.
So then I would have to actually break down their, like what they would say to me. 'Cause a lot of the time, with like even some of the skincare ingredients, they would just tell me something that sounded like a definition of the ingredient, and so then I'd have to go back and be like, no. We want to tell them it does this, this, and this. And this is the reason why you would want to have this in your skincare routine. So I had to learn how to break this down and be consumer friendly for dermatologists. And so then I got to learn a lot by being in their offices and everything. So it was kind of like this symbiotic relationship where we were working together. And then from there, I started to realize, as I really got into skincare education online, I started to realize people would, especially back then, they would like send over their whole skincare routine, whether I wanted it or not. I'm sure you've seen this. Where like people just send you like a whole list of questions. You're like, okay.
Every day in my office.
Exactly. And back then I used to actually respond to people. If it seemed like something I could actually respond to, if it was truly just cosmetic and it was like, not a big issue, then I could tell them, this is what you're doing in your skincare routine that's wrong or right, And so a lot of the time I would see all of these issues. And so it started becoming like really clear to me what to focus on and then when to bring in the expert to actually talk about a skin issue. And then, after all of that knowledge and building that, I started to see what was missing in the market. And a lot of the time when people are thinking about starting a brand, they think about like reinventing the wheel, like how innovative can I be about, this brand that I'm going to create. But sometimes there's just like a little bit of white space, right? And it's like, if there's something with Naturium, it was like, let's look at all these ingredients that are like vitamin C and niacinamide that are popular, but how can we do those better? And then other ingredients like azelaic acid, sulfur, like the ingredients that the dermatologists love, how do we bring them into the market, right? And make them more accessible, not just in price point, but in the education of it. And so that was really the approach with Naturium.
And I think that's why it's like we were just talking about it's low price point, low risk, someone goes to Target or online, they're, your average price is what, like under $30, something like that. That's like a low risk thing. And then and then someone loves the product and then they're like hooked for life versus like really they're like, should I buy this like $60 thing or,
Yeah. And I tell people just because it's expensive doesn't mean it's effective. Like we're actually looking at technology and ingredients, like how to keep a vitamin C and ascorbic acid stable, how to actually get this to penetrate that top layer of your skin, how to, like really get these peptides to work together with the formula to actually do something to your skin. So.
And what's on like my derm side, of course, a lot of derms are on the internet. I started my social in like 2010 in the beginning.
You're OG also.
Yeah. And it's kind of different because people like my lifestyle stuff. And I'm like, wait, let me talk about like doctor stuff too.
Yeah,
like,
that I'm a doctor, guys.
Surgeries, like liposuction. Let me talk about like, but I think that people want, at the end of the day, like content with value. But at the time, and not now too, like, that's how I love social media. But in my exam room, when I'm seeing patients, we don't have time to go through every skincare product or talk about. So some derms or doctors are like, oh, the internet, so much bad information. I'm like, no, I freaking love it. Like, of course, there's some wacky things out there. And I always have to like myth bust, or my patients will ask me. But in general, like they know the basics. So that saves me time. That saves my staff time. We're starting from like a good, like, basic knowledge from people like you, where, at the end of the day, we're all learning from something. So it came from scientists, it came from derms, we would do paper. It's like it's just how are you getting that information out there so people can really understand it? And I think for me, I love it. I love beauty experts out there. I love influencers out there, and I'm all for it. I love it. Love, love, love. Was there a moment where you were like, oh shit, this is like really taking off?
You know what? I'm one of those crazy people where if I've got a really big idea, I just can't not do it. Like it has to be seen through. Like there was not a moment where I didn't think it was going to be big, and kind of when we launched it, it just kind of hit the ground running. Like it was like we went and we started and we were on. It was on. Yeah,
because it was the best time. I think it was a good time. It was like when you have success, obviously good product, but it was always sometimes it's that like X factor too. Not luck necessarily, but I think when a few things kind of come together.
There were a lot of little, it's nuanced for sure. I remember when I reached out to my then business partner, Ben Bennett. I was pitching him hard to work with me. And I was like, this is the time that I need to launch my skincare line. And he was like, why are you so concerned with the timing of this? And I was like, I've been a producer and behind the scenes for a long time in social media and in media. And you can always see the peaks of a content creator's career and when they become oversaturated or when they're like starting to dip and everything.
Something happens.
I was like, I'm about to hit my peak. I am peaking.
Are you sure now looking back though?
No, I was right. I was peaking.
In the influencer world?
In the influencer world, I was peaking.
Yeah. Because you're like,
I guess I could still be out there, but I like slowed down the influencer thing to be more of a founder now, you know?
No, so, I totally get it.
And I also remind people, you know, I think a lot of people were surprised that my brand did so well because I wasn't the biggest of the content creators. And I think people don't realize that when you have been online for so long, and especially when you're like an OG YouTuber, you know, you have the benefit of like, maybe you don't have a big subscribership, right? I had like, I don't know, 1.5 million subscribers compared to like, well, somebody that has like 10 million subscribers, right? But the difference with skincare education is once they've gotten that education, they don't necessarily need to see the same thing over and over again. So maybe they move on from it, right? But those people never forget that you taught them something very foundational for their skin, and it changed their psychology. You know, like they live and breathe this every single day. They know how to handle their skin now. It makes them feel more confident. It makes them feel better. And so to this day, people will tell me, you know, like, you helped me learn skincare. And it's changed my life forever. And so these people remain loyal. So when they hear about you doing something, then they want to give back to you also. And they feel really like grateful and they want to be part of it with you. You know?
And I think this is really big because, number one, you need a loyal community. And two, I do feel like because you were doing this for so long and you are a little bit more mature as far as a beauty influencer is concerned,
I'm one of the only adults on the internet. And that's what I used to say. Now it's like everybody's an adult
so
too.
I think people kind of coming out, like, you don't need to have your biggest break. You know, people are always like 30 under 30. I got to do things. I got to grind in my 20s.
I know why.
Like, you don't have to like EQ sometimes to like really understand like, these major freaking business deals. And then now, speaking of deals, you know, you got acquired, $350 million. When that happened, tell me the moment, like what was going on? Like what was in your head? Like obviously deals are happening. But like talk to me about that thought process.
Well, you know, so my then business partner, Ben Bennett, who is the founder of the center, he's a genius. Like he is so smart about how he sees business. He has a lot of amazing, like his EQ is amazing. He loves women, so he loves to support a female founder. And he just needs to see the vision. And if he sees the vision, he gets it. And it's a very rare quality, right? And so he and I talked just a little bit, and I think he immediately got the vision. And we just clicked. And he told me from the start, you know, like, I'm an investor. You know, this is what I do. I build brands, right? So he just kind of made that clear. And I think because he was so clear in the beginning about the trajectory of this brand, it really helped to set the tone of where we were going to go with it. It moved maybe a touch faster than we thought it was going to move, but it still moved exactly the way he kind of set the expectation for.
Got it. So it wasn't like boom overnight. Oh my gosh!
No.
It was like we had.
No, he's running a business.
Yeah,
it was
I
like
know. I mean,
beauty.
Samantha Ellis prequel, like
exactly.
a good friend of ours. You know.
Yeah, for sure. Like it was very much like you know, it was, for me, it was like brand building boot camp because it did move really fast. But I gained so much knowledge and experience working with him, and he has a clear vision, and it's like the most genius thing about him.
So when you did get acquired, when Naturium got acquired, and then you got all the monies. Tell me, having all this money, what changed? Like, is there like your relationships with friends? Obviously, you've been open about your family. How do you tell your kids? Like, are they old enough? Talk to me how you've kind of managed, which, you know, you had money from sponsorships and YouTube and stuff, but this is kind of like a whole different ballgame.
This is a different level. I was actually making really good money. I never even took a salary with Naturium. So, you know, like I was clearly making enough money as a content creator to build a brand without having to take from the brand, right? So I was already pretty lucky in that sense. But obviously, like when you get your brand acquired, it's life-changing. It's like winning the lottery. And so you can imagine, you know, like there are a lot of things that you want to do first when you get a lot of money. For me, that was helping my family. I retired my parents. My mom like works for me like that, you know, and My sister now works for me. She helps me. She actually does really work hard for me. She does a lot of stuff on the backside where, like I just can't get to it because I don't have the time, especially now I'm running a second brand.
Yeah.
And so that was like the big one for me. I got my mom a car.
Yeah,
There's a lot of like focus
all
on my
those
mom and
dream
dad.
things. Yeah,
Like those were the big ones for me. You have a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
There's some kind of like a, it's very liberating. It really is to just know that you're not under the constraints of, like I have to do certain things to live and to provide for my family. Instead, now it's like I have that covered. And even for like their health and everything, I've got it covered. And so now what do you do with all of this? And it really is just like, it's fun. It gives you a lot of liberation.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's what people want for financial freedom is like time with your family, like,
which I don't actually have.
I know.
It can also create a lot of issues. Like if you're still working really hard, I still work on Naturium. I now have another brand. And honestly, it's not that I have to, obviously, but for me, this is what drives me. I love doing it. I love what we're creating. I love helping other people. And I just try to incorporate that with my children. I try to show them. My son actually expressed interest in Playa, and he tries all the lab samples now. He will go to my shower and be like, "What's the newest thing that you're working on?" He tries like any of the body products we're doing, some of the hair products and stuff, and he loves to participate in it. And I can see. And he even asked about coming to our launch party, which was actually only for adults. So I let him come to the beginning of it because I was like, you know what? If he's expressing interest, I want him to see what work is, like what mommy is doing. So
when you did get acquired, did you have certain obligation you needed to do? Because I know when you guys launched in Europe, you were like in Europe, and it looked so much fun. But I'm sure like you had to do so much. You were maybe away from your kiddos. Like, talk to me about some of the hardships.
Yeah. I mean, you're busy, right? The summertime is so much easier with kids if you've got kids in school because then they're free to travel with you. Like right now, I've got my kids with me here in Los Angeles and it's easier, right? Like it's almost like just working your 9 to 5. Like I'm going to go home or I'm going to go to the hotel after this and be with my kids again. And so it's just like working a regular job during the summertime. But during the school year, that's when it gets really hard because you can't just take them everywhere with you. I guess you could do like the way celebrities used to do it or still do it.
The homeschool
like the homeschooling thing and stuff. But that's also a whole other thing.
Pros and cons for sure.
Yeah. So they have a dad, luckily. So,
they do.
So they can spend time with their dad too. And they get just as much time with me, if not more sometimes. Sometimes it's more like compacted is what it turns into, right? So but there was a whole summer I spent in Europe and I took my entire family with me.
See, and I think that's the thing. You don't really show them or talk about that. And I know you've gotten backlash. Everyone gets backlash. I mean, I have a 13-month-old but I'm here in LA. I like flew in and I'm going to fly back tonight and I'm with baby boy.
You know what? Listen, nobody ever questioned why dads were doing that.
Oh, 100%.
Like women moms should be able to have their life and also, like balance that with their family and everything. Maybe you're missing a couple of things. But, there's actually studies on this. Like, there's like this moment. It's better to have these like really concentrated, focused moments with your children where they get quality time with you versus that like, spread of time that they have with you all day where you're just like scrambled and you're not paying attention to each other. You let them be on their iPads and you let them
You're a little like faster with them because you're kind of stressed versus you're like a better mom when your cup's been filled. And I know people
100%
said that a lot, but it's so true.
Yeah, it's totally true. And I think back on my parents. My parents were working all the time and they weren't rich, right? Like they didn't have a lot of money. And they were just doing it so that we could survive, sometimes working more than one job. And so I barely saw them. But the moments I had that were quality time moments, those moments are what shaped my relationship with them.
1,000%. Yeah. And then kind of going back a little bit, when you guys did launch, speaking of like just hardships and stuff, what was like when you launched Naturium, what was the biggest obstacle you had to, or hurdle or obstacle that you had to face? Like any crazy thing happened?
I mean, I've talked about this a lot, but when I announced my participation in Naturium, there had been a lot of confusion. I wasn't really clear about how it came about because my former business partner had actually silently started Naturium and launched it as an Amazon brand. And then when I came through to talk to him about the brand I was working on, then we were like deep into, not deep, but we were like in lockdown. It was kind of new. Everything seemed scary. Nobody knew that like just 2 months later, there was going to be this like burst in like D2C shopping and everyone was going to be doing a lot more shopping. It seemed like everyone was going to pull back because no one knew it was happening.
Yeah.
And so he was just kind of like, you know, why don't we work on Naturium together instead of working on 2 separate brands? And I was like, this is a genius idea.
Yeah.
And he was like, you know what? I haven't really like shaped the brand yet. Like I want a brand founder who gives it vision, gives it that shape, and really like takes it forward. You know, why don't you be that person? And I was like, let me think about it. And then we started going into like the deal of it and everything. And so I had actually talked about Naturium a couple of times, not knowing I was going to be the owner. Right. And then it moved into, I became the owner. And of course I went quiet about it for a little while because we're working on all the legalities behind the scenes. Right. And then I announced it, but a few people were like, but you talked about this before. And I just felt like it was no one's business. You know, like, why do I have to get into the back end of this?
Because they thought, okay, so you were like talking about it, loving it.
Yeah. And then it's like,
and
okay,
then they
so
didn't know that you were the owner.
Oh,
you're like, they're like, oh, is she being shady?
Exactly.
And you're like, not quite,
but I'll tell you, like that kind of like, there was a backlash for sure.
Sure.
And for a second there, it felt really scary. But what ended up happening when I took a second, took a little breath and like step back and then like really looked at it, I saw all this support come through.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
like
that's great.
when I announced, we basically sold out of every product that we had.
Yeah. So push through.
You have to push through.
Yeah.
Because if you know that you didn't actually do anything wrong, then, you know, like for sure, I was like hard-headed, a little bit stubborn, being a little bit of a bitch. But like, you know what? I'm a human being. You know?
Yeah. There are obstacles, mistakes that we make, or just like not communicating things because people just don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
1000%.
It's been a big lesson in general for me in life and about business and stuff. You know, to this day, like as a brand founder, you have to pay attention to all the noise that goes on online about your brand.
Yeah.
And you have to be more protective of it, right? And so now I've learned, you know, even the team, like whenever something pops up, I tell them, you know, give it a breath.
Yeah.
Let's see what actually happens with this. Let's not have a quick reaction because to me, this is not a big enough deal. If there's something truly big that we should address, then for sure we're going to address it. And I think these days everyone's learned it's just be straightforward with it.
Yeah.
You know, like don't try to come up with like this roundabout answer about what happened. Just admit you're wrong, move on.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's huge.
Yeah.
Going from beauty influencer to beauty founder, there are so many things judgment wise that you have to make that you could just ignore it and cancel culture craziness. But I think that really kind of teaches you like, this is not a small,
you know, I think
thing.
that, you know, like, we can talk about like cancel culture and all that kind of stuff. But I think that the average person is pragmatic. Like, I think people want more positivity and they actually want more, they really want to be on your side. They just want clarity a lot of the time. And I think that that's been my biggest lesson is just like people just want some clarity. They want things to be straightforward. You don't have to come up with like some marketing story and all that stuff.
Just be a human.
Exactly.
Love.
I often see patients in my practice asking what they can do at home to treat fine lines and wrinkles, and I always love to recommend using Medik8 Liquid Peptides Advanced MP Face Serum. This is literally the serum that delivers clinically proven wrinkle reduction thanks to GF mini protein, which is growth factor. So if you didn't know, growth factors are naturally occurring proteins in the skin that support the overall skin health and can help promote younger, healthier looking skin. However, growth factors applied topically are way less likely to penetrate into deeper layers. And that's why finding a good product that does that is so important. Medik8's Liquid Peptides Advanced MP Face Serum is powered by the GF mini protein, which mimics the function of natural growth factors but penetrates deep into the skin to visibly improve the appearance of skin structure over time. So I've been obsessed with peptides, and I think that when you're looking at peptides, they can be really expensive. And I feel like Medik8 is a good place to start. The formulation is really nice. It's a good serum. And most importantly, you know that it's working. It's going and actually penetrating the skin and doing what it needs to versus just staying on the top layer of the skin. And so that's a really big thing that I look for, like clinical trials. Does the ingredient that is amazing actually do something for the skin? And as far as Medik8's concerned, it does. I recommend Medik8's Liquid Peptides Advanced MP Serum for any of my patients looking for visible wrinkle reduction. I also love their retinol. You can find these products online at medik8.us. That's MEDIK and the number 8.us. Use code DERMAPPROVE for 20% off your order. So as a dermatologist and skin cancer surgeon, I'm always recommending SPF. You guys know it's my BFF, but I get it. It is so hard to find a good sunscreen that works for your skin, especially if you have oily or acne-prone skin. So I love that EltaMD came out with a UV clear, blemish prone, and oil balancing SPF 50. This is so good for my patients that have oily skin that really cannot find a good sunscreen. Sunscreen builds up, they make their skin feel oily, they break them out. And so this is the perfect thing for those patients. As someone who's acne prone, and I definitely get oily in some areas, I love that there's a sunscreen that actually targets this. EltaMD is not only the #1 dermatologist recommended and trusted professional sunscreen brand, but dermatologists use EltaMD personally more than any other sunscreen brand. EltaMD sunscreens are formulated with ingredients to help protect and correct UV damage across skin types and skin concerns. This product is powered by EltaMD's Zinc AOX Pro technology and 5% niacinamide to help reduce the appearance of blemishes and pore size. If you struggle with acne-prone or oily skin, you need to try the new EltaMD UV Clear Blemish Prone and Oil Balancing SPF 50. And don't forget, wearing SPF 365 days is a must. Visit www.eltamd.com to shop and learn more. Visit www.eltamd.com to shop and learn more. I love recommending Rock's new line smoothing 2-step peel pads as an at-home alternative to a professional peel, without the cost, the downtime, or the irritation. It's a 2-minute treatment dermatologist developed, delivering the results of a facial at home. In a clinical study, 90% had 5 visible signs of aging reduced in just 1 use: lines, wrinkles, rough texture, uneven skin tone, and dullness. Skin age was visibly reduced by 5 years. Every Rock product is science-led, developed, and tested to ensure the highest quality and efficacy. For more than 65 years, innovation through collaboration has been the heart of what they do at Rock. Powered by their pure Rock retinol and other proven ingredients, Rock has received over 180 awards and are consistently recognized by beauty magazines and editors for their exceptional, clinically proven benefits to improve the healthy appearance of your skin. Visit www.rockskincare.com for more information. So now switching gears a little bit. So you've been open about some of your treatments, which I love that you are, because the people want to know. Like, the people want to know, and you've been open about it. So talk to us. Well, obviously you've been open about, you know, some of the things that I do, you know, like the lasers, the tox, the da-da-da. So, but let's start like plastic surgery wise. Like, what have you done? What have you loved? What have you regretted plastic surgery wise?
Plastic surgery wise, have I regretted anything? I think that for me, one of the things I always like really want to point out to people is like the nuances in it, right? Like, just because I want to do something doesn't mean that they need to do it. I've talked about how I've had a nose job, game changer, obsessed. I've talked about, and before that, you know, the reason why I even got a nose job was because I was getting filler put into my nose to like straighten it a little bit more.
Which I do, for patients, but it's like high risk, and
it is
sometimes it can if you do, you know, it depends on an Asian type nose. If you're trying to build that much bridge, it's kind of hard to. You can't.
Exactly. And you know, it was actually my dermatologist at the time, Dr. Rebecca Fitzgerald. Shout out to her. She was like, I went into her office one day and I was like, there for my appointment to get my filler done. And she was like, I'm not going to do it. And I was like, why? What do you mean? I'm in your chair right now. She's like, I'll do other shit on you, but like that, I'm not going to do right now. And I said, why? She goes, well, you've done this enough times with me now that you need a nose job. She's like, just get a nose job at this point. Because she's like, it's higher risk. She's like, I feel confident doing it on you, but like, why?
Like the OG. Like, she's like, writes our books.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, why keep doing this for you if you just need a nose job? Just do the nose job already. And so that was like my foray into like really getting into the plastic surgery. Since then I've done like, I'm like, now gateway. It's like, now I gotta like hold back. You know, it's like suddenly you realize when you get plastic surgery, like sometimes that's easier than doing all the treatments, you know?
And of course, you know the people to go in.
That's true. That's true. I have access to like the best of the best.
Yes. You can ask any one of us. You know, you have kind of the inside knowledge, who to go to, who not to go to.
And I actually feel like there's a little pressure on my doctor friends to like take even better care on me. Like they sometimes they're like, this treatment only takes like an hour, but then it's like 5 hours later. It's like, I just wanted to make sure.
Just in case. I know. That's how it is. I mean, I've worked on red carpet patients.
Yeah.
A-list celebs, and
they're your billboard.
They are, and you want to really make sure, you know, when you're on camera, when you're making face, like you don't want to be that person. And it's a lot harder, like even for Botox, for instance. Like I did someone right before the Met Gala, and I had to make sure that she looked like she had no line, like she had no lines, that she kind of looked like refreshed, but didn't look like she had Botox, but she wanted to be frozen. So it's like that it's so hard to, and I do a lot of on-camera talent too, but it is that fine line. And that's why it just expertise. Like I freaking knock it out of the park every freaking time.
Yeah.
But because no one notices or there's no story on her or whatever.
There's still that pressure on you as the provider.
It is a little bit, because we know what to do, but it just is that little bit when you're on camera, because it is very nuanced. And of course, we want to take the best care of everyone always, and we do. But sometimes when you know a lot, it kind of, you know, who knows why. But
for sure. No, I talk to all my doctor friends about these things. One of my favorite things that I recently did was I did fat transfer. I keep telling people because it sounds hilarious to me. I'm like, I put my thighs in my face. You know, So we took
That's
a lot.
Way to take it. They did?
Yeah, we did. Well,
they didn't use all of it.
They didn't use all of it. I'm sure. Well, actually, I think he did a little combo of like the microfat and the nanofat situation.
Yes, which I love. Yeah.
But we did. We actually filled my face a lot because I had done during the pandemic. I had dissolved all the filler in this area.
Okay.
And,
why?
And then I had let it sit through my pregnancies. Yeah. So I got pregnant, stopped doing all my injectables, then like breastfed, got pregnant again. And so it was starting to settle. And then it's like you could see it, you know, like you could really, it wasn't fresh. You could see it. And I was just kind of
it was kind of like the old way to do filler.
Oh, very much the old way to do it.
So things, I dissolve a lot of filler, and it's like,
I'm not anti-filler.
Yeah.
I'll get 1000%. Filler whenever I need it, right? Like as soon as one of my, because I trust the people I go to, right? Yeah. So if they say I need some HA filler, I'm going to get some HA filler.
Exactly. Right? Hyaluronic acid, most common type of filler. But it's like the old filler when I feel like if you got it a while back, I mean, I've kind of always done a little less is more, but it kind of just, and we know it doesn't go, I mean, we've kind of always, but it doesn't go in a year. Yeah. Like I have mid-cheek filler, but I've had it for years. And am I so sad that it hasn't gone away? Hell no. Like I love that it's still there because it looks good. Yeah. Like I don't want to put more filler on my face. Yeah. So, but fat transfer is a hot topic now.
It is. And I had done it. So I'd done it after it was actually when I got my nose job. We decided
so it was a while back.
Yeah, it was a while back. Yeah, we did fat transfer. And I think the technique even then for fat transfer wasn't the way it is now.
No.
And so so it didn't last. Like I felt like, and actually all my derm friends were like, why are you even bothering? Back then, I remember every single one of them was like, I don't know why you're bothering with fat transfer. It's not going to last. Yeah. And sure enough, like 4 months out, it was gone. Yeah. It just like felt like I didn't do anything. And so I felt like I looked like Skeletor. Like it was just like hollow face. Yeah. Yeah. And then I started having to do things like Renuva and like all these, I got into like all the biostimulators and stuff. Yeah. But you know, I kind of just wanted this refresh for my face. And so I went in and I got a lower bleph with Dr. Charles Lee here in Beverly Hills. And then he lipoed my saddlebags. And then he put it like, I mean, I didn't even know we would put fat in all these different places. Like he had fat in my forehead. It was in my eyebrows, like in my upper, like that's like
the
here.
Like South Korean way.
Yeah. He put it in my temples freaked me out a little bit because it was really full.
Swollen.
It was swollen.
There's
and
not a lot of lymphatic. Even when you get filler there, it's kind of like I tell people it's going to look like a mashed potato for like a couple days. But fat even more.
Yeah, it was like I actually looked a little alien-like for a second. It brought my, you know, like you just kind of add a little bit, and suddenly I had like way more like Asian eyes and stuff. And and then you know the best part was the lower bleph
for sure,
and then smoothing it a little bit, and then putting that fat over it. That's where I saw the biggest difference
for sure.
I'm about like 7 months out. This was
so fresh.
Yeah, it's like
it's probably so. The thing about fat, I'm trained in fat transfer. I will probably enough patients are asking me that I'm going to do under eye fat transfer under their eyes. But here's the pros and cons. And I don't think it's a big, huge, amazing replacement for filler. And here's why is because it's really unpredictable.
It really is.
You'll take a little bit. You want to be conservative. You anticipate some dying off, right? So the first surgeon seems like they were a little bit more conservative because you didn't see a huge result. And of course, you could like add red light. There's so many things that you can treat your fat. And maybe you were more stressed at the time, you know, like your quality of fat and age, it really makes a difference too. Yeah. But a lot of people that are younger, they end up going through this like major thing. It does cause like scar tissue in the area. It's a little bit more aggressive cannula. And number one, if they do too little, you won't see anything. Number two, if they do too much, you can't just like inject it and make it go away.
Right, I know.
Like you have to like liposuction that. And you can't really like liposuction under your eye bag. Like think about how much inflammation. So you're kind of gambling. So just saying, fat transfer, you're gambling.
I think, it was definitely a little bit of a gamble. I trusted him because he does it so much. I think that's like the big thing, right? Like go to somebody who does it a lot.
They anticipate how much is, how much is going to take, basically. How much is going to take.
But I will say to people, I feel like I look better. There's no doubt about it. I wouldn't go back and say, no, I'm not going to do that again. Right. But at the same time, like there was probably like 2.5 months ago, I was like, this is where I want it to be. And then now it's like, it's gone. Really? And I'm like, not gone, but it's like not 2 months ago.
Perception drift.
You know, a little bit. No. But I stare at myself. I'm on live. You know, like I actually I can show you the progress on my social media since January. I look like a different person.
Yeah.
And then like now I'm pretty much back to what I was, just like a little bit fresher.
Yeah.
But like 2.5 months ago, I looked like a little younger.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because, and it will, that makes sense. I think you're in like the end of it, like the collagen, it takes like 3 to 6 months for anything, And so I think
this is where
where you're at. I think you look great. I think you look awesome.
I
think you look amazing. Talk to me about the other things, the things that I do a lot for my patients. Like, what do you love? As far as like lasers, things like that. Have you ever gone to South Korea and done the whole like tourism thing?
No. But you know what? I just had on my own podcast, Vanessa Lee from The Things We Do. She just got back from Korea. So we talked about some of the trends that she sees. And she just convinced me because they've really taken this like kind of like a inner wellness with which I know that you and I are going to talk about this on my podcast. But she talked about how they're really bringing in that whole like 360 kind of experience when it comes to aesthetics and wellness. And so I really think that, we're seeing this come here to the US as well. But because they've like kind of perfected it, I'm really curious to see how it goes there. Because, when I also did a tummy tuck not too long ago. And that was really I didn't have any like loose skin or fat to lose or anything like that. It was more that I had diastasis recti after pregnancy, and I could not get it to go back. Like I worked out really hard. I still do with my personal trainer, and my muscles were still separated. And I decided, you know what? I want to fix it because I was dealing with lower back pain and stuff, and it's my core. I still want to be strong for a lot longer, right? So I went and got this done. Yeah, exactly. I was launching Playa. I needed to be in a bikini, so we need to get this going. I kind of went through this experience where, I also have I have like a concierge wellness MP that I see all the time
in Miami.
In Miami, Mimi. And so she helps me on that side with like the peptides that I'm taking, the supplements that I'm taking. We're all constantly monitoring my labs like every 6 weeks, like 6 to 8 weeks.
So important. So speaking. So your face and your tummy tuck, different surgeon, same surgeon?
Different surgeons.
See, that's really important too. I think that going to a surgeon, if you're going to get a rhinoplasty, make sure your doctor is like specializes in that. I always say like, if you really want to know which plastic surgeon to go to, ask for a dermatologist, because we will not lead you in the wrong way, because that's our recommendation. We see the pre and we see the post. So I see the facelift scars, and let me tell you, I've seen some 6-figure facelifts in Beverly Hills with terrible scarring. And I've seen some like less than $10,000 facelifts in Arizona that look freaking amazing. So it really just depends on who you go to. They may not be huge on social media. Sometimes the more of a following a plastic surgeon has, the kind of red flaggy it is. So just get the vibe, ask questions, especially when it comes down to plastic surgery.
You know what? We have so much access to... We have so much information now, too, that we can find. Like, even going into the tummy tuck, I kind of made a last-minute decision to do it. I was like, you know what? I had this moment where I have an opening where I'm not going to have to travel for like the next month. I can stay at home and be able to heal for a second. So I think I'm going to take this opportunity to do it. And there were a couple of things I didn't know. Like I didn't know that some people experience like they could lift your mons pubis area up so much, your vagina up so much that you like feel like you're peeing like upwards. A man and stuff.
Yeah.
Like so these are things that I was like, oh my God, I need to be able to ask my doctor this, right?
Yeah.
And so like it seems like embarrassing things, but you have to ask this or you're going to end up in a situation where you might not like your procedure. So I brought that up to my doctor. I was like, I don't want to be peeing standing up.
I know it's so crazy, but I feel like on social media, people are more open about that now. I saw one post about some girl. She was like, yeah, I pee like standing up now.
Yeah, like you don't want like full camel in the front. Like at least put it back where it's like where it's supposed to be. Like
and the belly button can look really
that was a big
weird
thing to me. And so he actually kept my original belly button. Yep. Well,
keep your original belly button.
Again, I was lucky
Obviously,
in that.
Can't always.
Yeah, you can't always. I was lucky in the way that like I didn't have a lot of skin, all that kind of stuff. So you didn't have to replace anything. And then another thing I really was concerned about was the scar. Right, that was the reason I didn't have all this skin and stuff. I didn't want to have a scar that went across my stomach. So he said that he could do this with a mini incision.
Yeah.
And then he talked about how it was going to be so low. And then I was in a swimsuit one day and I was like, wait, I actually don't want it low. I wear like the high thigh, like the high cut.
Oh yeah,
so
you didn't want it like
I didn't want it
narrow.
Low. I actually wanted it maybe in the bikini. So he had me. So I brought this up to him, and he was like, you know what? Wear your bikini bottom. To the surgery, and I'll mark you inside the bikini bottom. And so actually, my scar is almost like a smile.
Love, because they shortened it. Yeah,
because it fits within my bikini bottom.
Love. See, those were the things.
Yeah.
Ask questions.
Ask all the questions.
And obviously, if you're going to like board certified plastic surgeon, board certified dermatologist for, things, we go through like rigorous, we want your best interests in mind, but it really depends on style too. Like if you didn't ask those questions, maybe he wouldn't have known, or he or she wouldn't have known that you wanted a scar like that.
Yeah. And that tells you a lot about the surgeon too. If you can't have those conversations or they don't get it or something, then maybe you want to consider talking to another doctor.
Yeah, absolutely. 1000%. You need to feel comfortable and ask questions 1000%. So let's talk about injectables. You are open about them. You know my thoughts on them as a dermatologist. I commented on a post where I was like, injectables, like the people injectable peptides, the people on them are the research subjects right now. And then you were like, I'm a research subject and I'm okay with it. Which, obviously, the risks of injectable peptides, but you have your provider who every 6 weeks,
6 to 8 weeks. Yeah, she won't give me anything.
Yeah,
even if I'm like, ooh, I heard about this new peptide and stuff, she won't give it to me until we've done my labs. To see if one, I'll even benefit from it, and two, to make sure there's like nothing questionable happening in my body that this could actually make worse.
Exactly. Plus, you got to really worry about the stacks too, like the Glow and the Wolverine, because peptide A plus peptide B in your body can really create immunogenicity. It can create your body's it's not technically your peptides, it's not your cells and proteins. So, talk to me about which ones are you on? Which ones do you like? Which ones have you felt haven't really worked? That whole thing.
I've kind of done everything. I'm not on anything right now. I have
no peptides right now.
No peptides.
See, that's
you have to cycle on and off.
That's exactly.
Yeah. The only injectable I do very regularly, and that's because I have pernicious anemia, is vitamin B12.
Okay.
And I actually try not to do it too much because it makes me break out. So
it does. Vitamin B12 makes you break out, especially in the injectable form or IVs.
Yeah.
Oral can too. So that's a huge thing that I tell my patients.
So with pernicious anemia, I don't absorb it from food or anything ingestible. So I have to give myself an injection.
Yeah.
So that's something that I stay on pretty regularly. I'd say like once a month I do that. But when it comes to the peptides, I've tried all of them. I've done the Glow Stack.
Okay.
I've done some of the growth factor ones.
Yeah.
I just got off of something called TA1.
Okay.
I don't want to make up the name. It's short. For short, it's called TA1. It's really, like some of the research on it is that it shows it's really great for people who have autoimmune disease.
Okay.
And so I have Hashimoto's and pernicious anemia.
Okay.
So we decided to try this on my body. I did it for about 6 weeks, and I did see that there was like one side effect that I didn't like. And so, and of course, because I have a provider who I'm constantly talking to, I just let her know like I was getting a little lightheaded on it, and I could tell it was different than like your typical like just sitting up too fast or something. It was like I just felt lightheaded all the time, and especially if I was like sitting up and stuff. So we decided to just pause. There's no use in continuing to take it,
especially so the glow or close stack. So tell me the benefit. That one is what, ghk-cu, is it BP 157, TB 500, I think.
Exactly. That's the 3.
Yeah, the 3.
So those are the 3 that you're doing. And the reason why we did that actually was because I was about to have my tummy tuck.
Okay.
And so
tissue repair. So ghk-cu, like everyone, I mean, not everyone knows this.
It's very common.
It's copper peptides. It's been in skincare in the derm world for decades. You know, when you hear, I mean, copper peptides was so big in like even TikTok world, and it is a peptide. So peptides are little proteins that act like little messengers and kind of tell your cells what to do. So it happens in skincare. Obviously, it's not the same as like injecting in your body. The thing that I see with that, so I'm almost like, I offer GLP ones.
Yep.
I microdose them for my patients. And they are begging me. You guys are begging me for injectable peptides. And I still think for my patients and for me being a physician, it's like still too early. I don't, and you know those risks too. You are
for sure the guinea pig.
Yeah. And the thing is, if you were my patient, you came up to me and you came to me and you were like, I'm on A1, whatever. I don't even know that one. And you were like, I'm getting lightheaded. Why, doctor? Like, why am I getting lightheaded? I don't freaking know.
And
I have no
thing.
idea. And that terrifies me that I can't tell you why you have that rash from your injection, that you are all of a sudden like having crazy abdominal pain.
Yep.
The GLP ones we know because they've been well studied. But these newer, well, not newer, but these like,
this
not
new
as
trend.
studied.
This new trend of the
BPC
peptides
157
that aren't as regulated.
Exactly. Like people are getting rosacea flares from the ghk-cu because it is for skin, hair, and nails. Do you feel like you saw benefits though from like,
for sure?
Yeah, tell me about them.
The thing is that I'm doing a lot of things.
Yeah.
Right. And so sometimes you almost have to like remove something
1000%
to see if it was making a difference. Right. And so I think it's more like once I stop, which is another reason to like cycle on and off.
Sure.
The minute I stop, I can see a little bit of a difference. Right.
So tell me the ones.
I do feel like that I recovered from my surgeries really fast.
Yes. That one's known. Like ortho has been injecting or having you even like orally, you can take BPC 157. Like that one is known for like tissue repair for sure.
Yeah. But that said, like, and my inflammation was low and everything. I was also doing the hyperbaric chamber. I was getting lymphatic drainage massage.
So many things.
So like, there's
You're
lot
on
of
a health
things.
trend for other things.
Exactly. So there are a lot of things that I was doing post-surgery that could have been contributing. I like to think that it was all of it that helped me kind of get past it and recover really quickly. Yeah. Right. So that's what I would say is the biggest benefit that you get from it. Other than that, like, obviously the biggest benefit you get is from the GLP ones.
Yeah. I mean, yes, you're going to lose weight from GLP ones. And what I do for my patients for microdosing, and I have to be very careful because we don't want people to be underweight. So we're very kind of like strict with like, because you can get out of, especially my patients in the aesthetics world. Like I do it for patients before lipo too. If I feel like they'll benefit from it. And that's how I can like really justify it. And I do it for like my postmenopausal patients, perimenopausal even, postmenopausal. But for patients, I mean, it's a great medication. Like not to say that everyone needs to be on a GLP-1, but it can help. There's a lot of studies on it. It decreases inflammation. Yes, it does target facial fat specifically, and that's why people are a little gaunt. And we'll talk about on your podcast what my protocol is and like what a lot of derms do. If I do have a patient in my office or anywhere else, but usually are in my office, do the GLP ones, I start them from the very beginning. So we're not dealing with this excess skin where they have to feel like they need to have surgery now because of the excess sagging skin, because it is huge and it is oftentimes a surgical thing if they lose so much, like on their face and this and that. And I'm like, they're like, no, Dr. Sheila, like there has to be something, like don't want surgery. And I'm like, let's do it, but it's going to cost so much money and I don't feel like you're going to have a result. So I try to like set realistic expectations. But if we start in the beginning, when they're losing 5, here and there, even if it's like 40 pounds overall, we're staying ahead of it and we'll kind of get into the details of that. But it's like lasers, skin tightening, energy-based devices, biostimulators, PRF, supplements, like all the things. GHKCU, tell me, have you seen a difference? Honestly.
No, that's what I was saying. So of course it was like in a stack, right? So,
so you don't know.
For me, it was like, I don't know if it was specifically that. But I do know that I feel like I recovered from my surgery really fast.
Yeah.
And like the for me, like microdosing tirzepatide like every other week or something.
Yeah.
To me, like, and when I say microdosing, like
it's like a 10th or 20th.
It's like,
it's
like so small that like you barely pull it out.
You don't need much.
Barely like drop it. But for me, with my autoimmune disease, it really has helped with that. When we're monitoring my labs, we can see that I've gotten off of most of my hypothyroid medications.
Yeah.
And I'm still totally fine.
Exactly.
And so it's really been interesting to watch how it helps with that. So I'm not doing it for weight loss. I don't feel like I need any weight loss.
Yeah.
But it's definitely helping me with things like my autoimmune disease. I feel like I sleep a little bit better. So those are some of the reasons why I would do some of these injectables. The best thing that I do for myself is truly strength training. I do it 4 times a week minimum. I take creatine daily. And I'd say that those are like the 2 things that have made the biggest difference in my life.
Yeah, agree. And it's like, I think people forget with the whole wellness, longevity, biohacking. It's like, how about you just sleep well, drink water, eat whole foods, strength train for both your bones and your muscle. And that is, I think, the missing point out of everything. It's like we're biohacking, being crazy with like all the digitals, but it's like, take a step back, listen to your intuition.
Do the main things first. Do the foundational stuff first.
Yeah,
for sure.
And that's what I tell my patients. I mean, I love all the things.
Yeah.
But my patients come to me because they'll know I'll tell them straight. Thanks again for being on Derm Approved. I feel like we went through it all. And for anyone watching, if you guys have any follow-up questions for Susan, send them over and you'll catch me on Glow Lab next.
Exactly. Love it. Thank you.
Of course.